Pick something you think you understand reasonably well: a toilet, a zipper, a bicycle. Now try to explain in detail exactly how it works, not just what it does, but the actual mechanism. Most people discover immediately that their confident sense of understanding was mostly a feeling rather than an actual grasp of the thing. This gap between felt understanding and actual understanding has a name, and it's far wider and far more consequential than most people suspect. The phenomenon is called the illusion of explanatory depth, and it was documented in a series of studies in the early 2000s. Researchers asked people to rate their understanding of everyday objects and processes: zippers, toilets, locks, bicycles. People rated themselves fairly confidently. Then they were asked to provide detailed, step-by-step explanations of how these things worked. Then they were asked to rate their understanding again. After trying to explain, rated understanding dropped significantly. The act of attempting a detailed explanation revealed to the people doing it that their confident sense of knowing had been mostly an illusion. They had access to the inputs and outputs of the system without any real grasp of the mechanism in between. The illusion forms because the brain conflates familiarity with understanding. You've seen zippers work thousands of times. That accumulated familiarity feels like knowledge. It activates smoothly. It doesn't generate any friction. It feels like you could explain it if you needed to. The "if you needed to" part is the key. The sense of knowing is generated before you test it, and testing it is the only thing that distinguishes it from actual knowing. This is compounded by the way understanding tends to be distributed across networks of people and tools, rather than located entirely in individual heads. You understand how a zipper works in the sense that you could find out easily by looking it up, by asking someone, by examining one carefully. Your brain can blur the line between "I know this" and "I have access to sources that know this." The illusion of explanatory depth is strongest for complex systems, which is precisely where actual understanding matters most. Political policies, economic mechanisms, medical interventions, technologies. People who consume summaries and headlines about these domains regularly develop a confident sense of understanding that bears little relationship to the depth of their actual grasp. Studies on political beliefs specifically find that people who hold the strongest views on policy questions, most confident, most certain, often perform worst when asked to explain the mechanisms by which the policy would produce its claimed effects. The confidence isn't a product of understanding. It's, if anything, inversely related to it. The practical implication of the illusion of explanatory depth isn't that you should feel bad about not understanding things fully. Almost no one has full mechanistic understanding of most of the complex systems that affect their life. It's that the feeling of understanding is not a reliable indicator of actual understanding, and that confusion, the friction you feel when you actually try to explain something, is more informative than confidence. Confusion means your brain has encountered the gap between what it has stored and what it would need to explain. That gap is where learning actually happens. Confidence, absent the test of explanation, is mostly your brain reporting that the topic is familiar enough not to feel urgent. So the next time something feels clear and understandable to you, politics, science, someone else's behavior, your own, it might be worth asking what would happen if you tried to explain it. Really explain it, step by step, to someone who knew nothing about it. You might discover that what you had was familiarity. Familiarity feels like understanding. It isn't the same thing. If you want to learn more about this topic, feel free to subscribe.